Man, am I even a car guy? Now that might seem like a dumb question, and a lot of you guys have probably never even asked yourselves that. But if you think about it, is it true? How do you define a car guy? Is a car guy simply someone who has a car? Is a car guy someone who drives cars? Is a car guy someone who likes to work on cars? Is a car guy someone who enjoys to look at cars? Or is a car guy just an idea and not an actual thing? Now it's interesting because I was listening to an episode of the High Side Low Side podcast, which is a motorcycle podcast from Revzilla, which is pretty good. If you like motorcycles, check it out. And they were talking about what makes a motorcyclist. And I thought that that's an interesting question because as they're trying to define it, they basically are talking about how it could be different for each individual person what makes a motorcyclist. And in the same way, what makes a car guy? And personally, what makes you feel like a car guy? Because for me, I mean, it seems obvious. I must be a car guy, right? I have a car channel. I love cars. I like working on cars. I love driving cars. I love owning cars that are fast or fun in some way or another. But do you need to have all of those things in order to be a true car guy? Well, it seems obvious to me, of course not. Maybe you like cars because you enjoy a certain facet of the car community. Maybe you love detailing cars. Maybe you love driving cars, but you don't necessarily love working on them. Maybe you love how a car looks, but you don't necessarily love driving it or working on it or whatever it might be. Maybe you love looking at car shows and seeing all the different cars that you don't own, and you don't really care if you ever do, but you enjoy checking those cars out. And this is interesting, isn't it? Because for me, I love driving. I love looking at cars. I love going to car shows. I love working on my own cars. Does that make me more of a car guy than other people? Maybe you'd go even further than me. Maybe you do all your own paintwork. Maybe you fabricate parts. Maybe you have built a car basically from scratch out of your garage. Does that make you more of a car guy than me? Well, the answer is that we shouldn't get too tied up in a car guy as a concept. And the reason why I say this is because this whole discussion gets so gatekeepy and weird the deeper you try to go into it. And you know, ultimately, on that High Side Low Side podcast that I was talking about, in the end, they basically said that if someone was to tell them, hey, I'm a motorcyclist, whether they actually ride a motorcycle or not, or if they just enjoy motorcycling, or maybe they used to ride and they don't anymore, they're not gonna say to them that they're not. If someone came up to me and they don't know anything about cars, but they enjoy looking at them and they told me they're a car guy, awesome, good for them. I'm glad you found a niche that you fit into. That's amazing. In the same way, if someone that has done everything ever with cars, has been in the scene for 30 years, came up to me and said I'm a car guy, of course, I've got no issue with that. And I think that this is important because the car scene is something that to people that are not familiar with cars can seem kind of intimidating to get into. I know personally, I've always been worried, and I still am now, about saying something stupid and making people think I'm stupid or alienating people in one way or another. But I can tell you honestly that most of us, if you tell us something stupid, are probably gonna laugh about it internally. We might tell a friend or something like that, like, hey, someone said something funny. But ultimately, we're not gonna hold it against you. I've got plenty of friends who like cars casually, and they don't go very in-depth with their interests, but they like to look at them. They like to drive them. They think it's fun to be in a fast car from time to time. And you know what? They don't know everything. I don't know everything. Who am I to judge someone? I know that 5 years ago, I didn't know crap about cars, even though I thought that I did. But I think that the reason why this topic is actually important is because as car people, we really self-identify. Sure, someone casually can look at me and tell, obviously, I seem like a car guy. I love cars, I talk about cars with people, probably far too much if you ask most people that I know. I buy fun cars, I enjoy working on them. I have over time come to learn a decent amount about them. But ultimately, to me, I know that personally, I think I'm a car guy. And ultimately, that's something that you decide for yourself. Maybe you've never even owned a car, but you enjoy crushing it along in Forza Horizon 5. Sick! You want to be a car guy? Be a car guy. And this is where the responsibility of us self-identified people in the car community comes into play, because we love seeing more people in the car scene. It's more people to talk to, and it's an instant way to connect to someone. When you have a familiar interest with someone, it's an instant bond. It's so easy to make a connection with that person when you can effortlessly speak about something. And in order for us to have more people like that, it's our job to not gatekeep, not to keep them from being a car guy because they're not a car guy enough for us, or they can't call themselves a car guy because XYZ thing. And I think in some ways the car scene does a good job with this, in other ways it needs to be held accountable. The car community as a community is very, very large and is incredibly varied in the different interests that people have. Some people just want a fun, fast street car. Other people want a track car. Other people want to build a show car. Other people love trucks, what have you. And I understand that people fit comfortably into those niches and it's something that they enjoy. But personally, I, as a person who's into basically everything, find it hard when people don't want to talk with another person because they're interested in that and that's not their thing. Or they just show no interest or respect in another aspect of the car community because it's not the one that they love, it's not the one that they fall into. And you know, when you think about it, someone who comes into the car scene brand new, and just to them everything's cool and fun, in a way, isn't that kind of the most car guy quality that we can possibly find? And it's our responsibility as people that have been in this industry or around it for a while to make it welcoming and fun for people that want to try out being interested in cars. Or, as many of us would call it, a sickness. So if you're in the car scene and you see these people, well, do your best to welcome them, because if you don't, well, are you really a car guy? Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really, really helps out. I really appreciate all the support that we've been getting recently. And I thank you guys once again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. That was so dumb. Oh, my battery's dying. What perfect timing.